Alright, hey guys. I decided I was gonna do a one of these video um, blog things on the Mercury here instead of just doing an update video that broadly covers all my vehicles. This is gonna be an update video specifically for this car in particular, since I have a lot to say about it, or a fair share to say about it. Um, if you've paid attention to my previous videos where I talk about this, you'll know that I've had this car for a few years. It was my great-grandma's car, um, and I drove it for a whole summer, and then at the end of that summer the engine blew up, um, and it sat for a whole year until I finally decided last fall that I was going to rebuild the engine. So I pulled it in the shop, took the engine out, rebuilt it, full rebuild. Uh, Everything got replaced except for the pistons. Um, and now the engine, I went back in the car and I was chasing vacuum leaks and various other issues with it, and it wasn't drivable for the last few weeks. But now I just on Friday got it to run. I got a new, I deleted my EGR, which was the source of a lot of the vacuum leaks. I put a phenolic spacer on there to make sure that the carb linkages would line up with the carburetor, and everything would sit at the right height and the fuel wouldn't boil in the bowl and that kind of stuff. And now it runs decently okay. However, there are a couple of, I don't want to call them setbacks, but a couple of things went wrong. Number one, it did get hot a couple of times during our cam break-in, so we had to stop it quite a few times, and it is very quite possible that one or more of the cam lobes is slightly flat. It doesn't miss, and I checked to make sure all the lifters or all the rocker arms are moving, and they all are, so it's possible that the valves are still opening, they're just not opening as much as they need to be, which creates a slight lope to the idle. It sort of surges, it dies down a little bit, and then goes back up and runs fine for a few seconds, 10 seconds or so, and then it'll die back down for a couple of seconds, then it'll go back up and idle normal again for a few minutes, and it just does that consecutively, kind of like a racing cam would, or a thumper cam would. But this is a mild cam, it's a factory spec cam, so it shouldn't do that. And then the other thing is, when the engine shop rebuilt my heads, and machined my block, they said that the cylinders measured slightly over spec, and it would be best practice to get them bored and put new pistons in. I chose not to do it because it would have been upwards of $500 on top of the $1,200 that I already was charged for just rebuilding the heads and machining the mounting surfaces on the block. So I chose not to do that, with it in mind that, as they told me, there is a decent chance that there would be quite a bit of blow-by in a couple of the cylinders. So that might also be contributing to the little bit of idle lope that it has in gear and in park. It's fine when it's driving down the road, and it performs just fine. It doesn't run hot, it doesn't run lean, it doesn't overheat. It drives just like I remember it driving before I had to rebuild it. I've been driving it a few times this weekend. It's Memorial Day right now. I drove it today around a little bit. I've been trying to kind of short trip it, not do too many trips out of the way, so I can sort of ease it out and sort of every day I'm driving it a little further to ensure that it can actually handle a longer drive, and then we'll really go on a cruise with it and take it out like I used to, and go on a 3-hour long just kind of aimless road trip, drive around the country roads kind of thing, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of really pretty roads to drive on, with a lot of sort of mountainous bluffs around here north of here, and I used to love driving this car on that. It's kind of an area with no cell service though, so if something were to happen, I'd be hitchhiking. So anyway, I'm going to start it up for you here now that I've disclaimed that we do have a bit of a cam noise, but everything is working, and as far as I know, there is no dead cylinders or anything like that. Just a couple of them have lower compression than the others when we were testing it. So I'll start it up here, but just doing a quick walk around as I'm talking. I just washed it, and you can see there's rust under there, and it's dripping down coming from the vinyl top, which is getting replaced this fall most likely. The paint needs to be redone. There's a lot of body work that needs to be done. Some small spots with rust repair. Most of it's just dings and things, and the single stage paint that has no clear coats is it's getting to the point where it's going to be looking a lot like that blue car over there, where the paint's just kind of faded and you can't really tell what color it used to be. So it will be getting body work done. We'll be getting repainted. I'm gonna find some of this trim, like over here, this trim that's messed up from that big old dent right there. This trim, that trim, a new fender skirt, that kind of stuff. Find new ones, reattach it, and maybe in, hopefully in the next few years, this car is gonna look like it's brand new again. But without further ado, let's get this thing started, and I'll show you how it runs. I did have it running a fair while ago. I'd say probably 4 hours ago at this point. So I'm not sure if it's gonna start without the choke. It's warm out. It's 70, upwards of 70 degrees, probably 75, 78 degrees, something like that right now. But when I test fired it earlier to show a couple of friends that were over, it wasn't wanting to run without the choke. So we'll give it part way down and roll this window down here, and we'll see how it starts. Okay. So there's a little too much gas there. I pumped it once when I was cranking, and then it wasn't firing, so I kept pumping. I shouldn't have done that, because now I'm gonna have to feather the gas for a little bit to get it to stay running here. But it is running. It's not missing. Obviously, it's under a little bit of load right now because my foot's on the gas, but everything works since I last drove it a couple years ago. Radio still works. My cassette deck I put in it there, that still works. Let's see if we can get some music here.
You have tweaked.
Get done by June 5th.
There's no reason why.
Nothing's on right now. So let me just ease off the gas here. So it's not warmed up, so it's not really running that great, but yeah, it is it doesn't like to run when it's cold without a choke. It's a very lean running engine as is, so it needs that extra bit of air shut off in order to stay running. But let me just pause this footage here for a second and see if I can get it to stay steady, so I can get out and show you, let you listen to what it sounds like, see what you guys think. Okay, so I think it's not gonna really want to idle up completely without driving it, but it is a lot better now than it was. So obviously you can hear it idling good now, and then it kind of dies down a little bit here and it idles back up. It's surging, it's looking for an idle. It's almost like half of the engine is operating like it should, and the other half is kind of lagging behind a little bit. But I mean, it is kind of disappointing, but I'm hoping that maybe once the piston rings are completely broken in, the pistons will swell up a little bit with the engine heat, and once it's warmed up, it'll kind of go away as I get more miles on it. Because even though it is idling like this, and it's what a lot of people would consider somewhat concerning, you get in the car, put it in gear, and the idle evens out. Is that, it still stumbles here and there, but you keep it in gear like this, and it doesn't die like you'd expect it to with an unsteady idle like that. It stays running the whole time. And I've driven this. I've sat at traffic lights for 2-3 minutes here in gear like this without the car dying. So it's good enough for me. I mean, sure, I'd like it to be idling smooth and steady and like you'd expect out of a brand new motor, but you get what you get. We took a gamble with this cam brake in and all that stuff, and we got we got burned a little bit. It did end up a little bit crappy, but I can drive the car again, and hopefully it'll last quite a while before I have to do anything about it again. But it's running, and when I'm driving it, it's once there's once there's load on it, it drives just fine. Drive down the road without any problems. So yeah, that's the Mercury. And this is probably going to be one of the last sort of project updates for this car for a while, because as far as the rest of it goes here, I'm going to shut this off just to give it a break. As far as the rest of the project goes with this, the next thing that's really going to be done that's significant is the vinyl top is going to get redone, and then I'm going to have to find a parts car to replace this door here. It's the most screwed up one. Replace the door, do a bunch of body work, repaint it, all that stuff. I might end up paying someone to do that, because this car I want done right, which means take all the chrome off, all the trim off, all that stuff, and paint it up as a shell. So I'm gonna have to figure out all the details about that, but get that done up right, and then it'll be restored. So obviously, since I'm not going to be doing the top or the paint, I'm not going to be doing videos on that, but I will feature it in other update videos. The only thing I am going to be fixing that this thing has a problem with is the cruise control. It worked when I got it, and then at some point during that first summer of driving it, it stopped working. So I will be fixing that, but there's a good shot of the car for you. It's in really good shape. It is pretty sad that the car won't idle very steadily, but I'm hoping that, like I said, within the first 500 miles of finishing that break-in process with the piston rings completely breaking in and such, I'm hoping that once that's all said and done, change oil, perform its final carb adjustment, timing adjustment, and then maybe it'll be a lot better. And like I said previously, it seems to be not liking the fact that it's not warmed up and it's idling, because the night that we tuned it in, and even yesterday when I drove it a couple of times, it's idled a lot better than that. So maybe I'll make another video with it idling after it's warmed up, so you can just see that it does in fact run, and it doesn't always run like absolute shit like that. But yeah, I know I've got at least one subscriber that follows this car, likes this car, so there you go. There's your update on it. I think this is vlog number 7 for this car, so probably only going to be 9 or 10, maybe 11 vlogs total on this, because I don't drive it that often, because I don't want to wreck it or anything, and there's not a whole lot to actually fix on it besides body stuff. Otherwise, it's all in pretty good shape. So with all that being said, this is a 15-minute long video. It's about what my update videos end up being, so I'm going to end it here, and thank you all for watching.